The man was warming up to go swimming, but just as he jumped into the pool, the cleaner poured a dozen poisonous snakes into the pool. The snakes swam towards the man as soon as they hit the water. The cleaner then calmly got up and left, but as he passed the bodyguard, he noticed that there was still a snake stuck in the crack of the bucket. Seeing that the bodyguard hadn't noticed, the cleaner immediately submerged the bucket in the water. The snake swam along with the current and headed straight for the man. By the time the bodyguard realized something was wrong, the man had already been poisoned and had passed out. When the bodyguard carried the man to the door, an ambulance was already waiting. They injected him with serum and carried him into the ambulance. But just then, another ambulance arrived. When asked by the other party, they pulled out knives and forcibly took the man away. They were not kidnappers but the relatives of the victims killed by the man. It turned out that 15 years ago, Jack had raped and murdered 10 people. But instead of going to prison, he had become a local celebrity. Just a few days ago, Jack held a press conference to proudly reveal his 15-year-old murder record. However, due to an unsuccessful manhunt at the time, Jack had escaped, and the statute of limitations for murder cases in the local area was only 15 years. Once that timeline was crossed, even if he had taken countless lives, the murderer would not face legal consequences. That's why Jack dared to publish a book detailing his crimes. Just as everyone was filled with grief and anger, a female journalist made a startling discovery. 15 years had passed, and the police officer who had pursued Jack back then, Carl, had become deeply weathered by time. Yet Jack remained as young as ever. The female journalist's words shifted the focus of the press conference. Many people's attention was drawn to Jack. His talent and good looks successfully overshadowed his evil deeds. The public no longer labeled him a murderous maniac, but rather an ageless god and smiling writer. Even the act of murder was portrayed as part of his unique personal charm. Jack's new book quickly sold out, and in just 3 days, he netted $200 million. To gain more attention, Jack visited the families of the victims one by one and bowed to them in apology. But his actions were clearly a show of defiance. The victims' families went to the police station hoping they would arrest Jack, but with the law giving him the green light, what could the police do? Jack even took advantage of this and openly appeared at the police station and specifically greeted Carl, who had arrested him back then. He smugly pointed to the corner of his mouth, mocking Carl's incompetence. The scar on Carl's lip was from the knife the murderer used to escape back then. Jack had gone into hiding for 15 years, but once the statute of limitations expired, he transformed into a celebrity. When Jack reached out his hand, Carl immediately spat in his face. Jack froze instantly. Then Carl grabbed a handful of noodles and threw them at Jack's face. Carl's brutal behavior once again earned Jack sympathy votes for his image makeover, but it also made the victims' families even more angry. They finally banded together to kidnap Jack and planned to torture him to death slowly.